Why take math? Yeah. Why teach math? Why teach math in school? Uh, I had a student in for advising yesterday. She was feeling guilty about taking astronomy as an elective in her last term here at the community college. She wants to be a psychologist, obviously, if she's talking to me, you know? So she was worried that an astronomy class won't help her be a better psychologist. Like, STEM is a scam. STEM is a scam? I guess that's a longer talk for another day, but the idea that college is for job qualifications is exploitative nonsense, convincing both major political parties and the majority of Americans and teachers and professors that the point of college is to earn the privilege of not doing manual labor for a living. You have to pay for a college degree to have the job skills to be marketable, It's a massive political coup. Then taking over one political party so that wealthy people and corporations never have to pay taxes again. They don't fund the college and university system. We do with poor people's tax dollars, and you pay your tuition to come. So you're qualified to work for the bosses, the boss class. I mean, that just compounds the human misery. Look, man, education is for self enrichment. It's for moving horizons. It's for kindling the imagination, becoming better citizens capable of critical thinking, which, if we had that, we wouldn't push STEM. Education teaches us not what to think, not facts, how to think, how to express ourselves, how to manage complex ideas, be responsible across an increasing sphere of influence. It creates empathy. Also, it positions us in a global economy full of large scale challenges. Business, the 1% wealth hoarders you've heard so much about, they hate almost all these functions. So take that astronomy class. Go ahead. There's room in your degree plan. You'll be fine. You don't have to be able to imagine how you will use it as a psychologist 10 years from now. Astronomy for non astronomers is, man, it's amazing. You get a sense for how to understand the universe around you with math, logic, and inferences, plus a grasp of how to live with ambiguity. The scale of the universe just cannot be comprehended. Like, I can tell you how many gallons of water constitute a given ocean, but you can't grasp what those numbers mean until you're on a little boat out in the middle of it all, out of sight of everything and everyone, just ocean. What does 94 billion light years even mean? Well, let's go out to the observatory at night and pick a star, and point that way. Let's get the James Webb data. Let's get the images, the deep field images, and contemplate those. Man, this learning the age of the universe and how we infer the age of the universe, knowing the number of stars, and like how we know that, how we guesstimate that, how planets come to be, how temperature varies, redshift, learning that we are literally stardust that breathes and contemplates stars. Think about sitting with your first client and you're just like totally incapable of contemplating the nature of the universe. You're totally locked into some absolutist or fundamentalist paradigm where things are either true or false, and that is that. Think about sitting with that first client, unable to contemplate fear, ambiguity. How can you treat that person with reverence when all that you know how to do is judge and pigeonhole? My student came in thinking all accused offenders are the scum of the earth. Like if you've been accused of a thing, you're guilty of a thing. And after our little chat, she left thinking about empathy, compassion, sympathy. The job of the psychologist is to evaluate, not to assume. So, why teach math? This is the number one complaint I hear around the campus. Why are they making me take all of these math classes? I'm never going to use it. Well, sure. I mean, if you resent it and refuse to learn it, you won't use it. You can't. You can't. You probably can't use conversational Klingon either, because you don't know conversational Klingon. And if you learned it, there might be very narrow, but a range of situations in which that knowledge might be helpful. That is, knowing more things increases the chances that something you know could solve a problem that you have. But it's more than that, I walked away from math in, I don't know, trigonometry 3, maybe. When the professor tried to explain that circles are made of triangles, I'm like, bitch, no, I'm out. And that was that. That was that. I was out at that point. The chances I, as a psychologist, will use those trigonometric functions on my clients or even on client data is like it's vanishingly small. But the specific algorithm you learn to solve a specific problem is less important than learning there are many algorithms. You can learn them, and there is a method to solving problems. It likely never occurred to you that one of the most important days in your life was 6th grade math class when you learned about proofs. Do you remember the day they made everyone draw triangles with a ruler and cut off the tips, right, and arrange them and measure them with a protractor, and it's always 180 degrees? Do you remember learning that that is only a demonstration and not a proof? And do you remember when the teachers walked you through how to construct a proof and then turned you loose on that problem, and you proved that logically the 3 angles of a triangle must add up to 180, so much so that that's a tautological statement? Do you remember that day? Do you remember it? Because that never occurs to most people never absorb the lesson. The lesson isn't that the 3 angles of a triangle necessarily add up to 180 degrees. It's an epistemic standard. And failing to grasp that epistemic standard leads us to where we are today, now, with people easily manipulated by fake news and viral TikToks. And look, man, math leads towards sanity, away from spurious bullshit conclusions. Math is about formal systems of logic. You can't argue your way out of an equation with rhetoric. No emotional blackmail will change the terms. The only thing to do is apply cold reason, algorithmic reason in a stepwise fashion and solve all of the terms. It stands, your solution stands, or it doesn't stand. And emotions don't figure into that. You can be mad about it. That doesn't change it. Maybe that has nothing to do with one particular student's particular choice of career, but it has everything to do with our survival as a species and with maintaining democracy. Climate change is happening. The climate is changing. It's getting warmer. It's getting hotter. And no amount of fear about what's going to happen to the economy is going to change the fact that we need deep decarbonization. That's it. We do this all the time. We create standards of evidence and methods of proofs and procedures to follow to solve problems. When they're good, we retain them. And failure to learn this lesson is the failure to shut down fascists. Democracy runs on abstract systems of justice. These systems are logical, they can be understood, they can be operated to achieve the most good for the most people. Or they can be used to undermine democracy itself. Math teaches logic, analysis, reflection, perseverance, the good and bad limits of inference, the value of guessing and intuition. You know, at an advanced level, good solutions look beautiful to the mathematician. They follow their intuition that this solution seems ugly. This one seems beautiful. I'm going to pursue this one. And that's the one that turns out to be right. That's why to teach it, you know? Not so that you can be a more efficient cog in a machine that turns millionaires into billionaires at your expense. Black Pill out.